Sound.
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 Sound. Sound. Sound.
Found in sound.
Music. We're listening to it, we're creating it, going to concerts. But how does it really affect us? And how can it help? We start this episode with someone who's just beginning his musical journey.
Hi, my name is TELUS H, and I am a drum student, and I'm here with Laura. You have to get the right drumsticks, this big.
And how much do you like your drum lessons?
So, since I have done it for a kind of a year and a half, I have really kept on with it and I really like it. So, that's one question answered.
And how important do you think music is for people?
Well, to me, music is really good to me. Like, it makes me feel happy when I'm sad. But I don't know about other people. I think it does the same. I think people think music can make them happy when they're sad. Because that's what music can do.
Music has been regarded as therapy for thousands of years. In ancient Greece, philosopher and mathematician Pythagoras was the first known person to prescribe music as medicine. Music therapy is now a widely accepted form of healthcare.
My name is Tiana. I am a certified music therapist, and I have a business called Aria Music Therapy that I've been owning and operating for 2.5 years. So I grew up in a very musical family where everybody on my dad's side played an instrument. And when I say everybody, I mean like 7 kids with grandkids and cousins and all that. And everybody is musical and sings. And so I started violin, which was my grandmother's instrument, when I was 6, and just kind of continued from there. I became a bass player in high school, and that's what I ended up taking with me to Berklee College of Music when I got my scholarship to go there. I ended up doing a dual degree there in performance and music therapy and a minor in psychology. So music therapy is the use of music as treatment by a certified music therapist in different domain areas, including physical, emotional, social, cognitive, and spiritual domains. So we are thinking about our treatment plans and the goal areas that we want to tackle, and some of those goals can be fine motor movement, emotional expression, executive functioning and memory, recall, and those are different areas. And music therapists I've worked specifically in hospitals, in the pediatric intensive care unit. I've worked with veterans with PTSD. I've worked with children with autism and FASD quite a bit. I've worked with adults with traumatic brain injury, and I've also worked with adults with ALS and their caregivers as well. And I have worked with people that are experiencing grief, like fairly new grief. My internship was with deaf-blind individuals, which was super interesting, learning how to use music with people that are deaf, completely or partially, or using cochlear implants and how music is transmitted through cochlear implants. So it's a very broad field that can be used with people from birth until death, basically. Anybody can be susceptible to music therapy, and you do not have to have any musical skill to be considered somebody who is susceptible to music therapy. I just really love what I do, and that I think that I was made for it, very specifically. I actually wanted to be a nurse before I discovered music therapy, and I had a really bad attitude about music therapy in the beginning because I thought it wasn't science-based and that it was very holistic and not something that I would say would be like good for treatment. But then I basically like let my mom know, okay, fine, I'll look at it, because she was really encouraging me into it. And I discovered that it was so much more than I thought it was, and that it just made so much sense. And that I didn't realize that I think everybody uses music therapy themselves without knowing that they're doing it. And I was definitely using music as therapy without having any understanding of just how deep it can go. So it's really beautiful. I work with kids mostly with autism and other developmental disabilities. And they age between probably 3.5, 4 years old to, I would say 16 is like my oldest client. Yeah. And I love it. I love what I do. All my kids teach me something every single time I have a new client, which is really cool. Or if it's just another song I didn't know before, and I add to my own playlist because I really like it. And yeah, no, I absolutely love it. They are so cool. And are so imaginative and very creative in music. It's very rewarding, because some people will approach it as a perfectionist kind of and really have a hard time grasping just being creative, and kids are kind of not ready to think about it that way yet. They're not perfectionists in music yet. They're just exploring, and it's really beautiful.
Tiana also works in conjunction with other therapists, like speech and language pathologists or behavioral interventionalists, who are all applying the techniques in their respective fields to achieve the most positive results for their clients.
Every child I have to do an assessment, and that's a baseline assessment. So just like any other therapist or somebody who would call themselves a therapist, they would have to document. So we do a baseline assessment first, and then I write a treatment plan based on the baseline assessment. And then I have, the parents are very involved in that process with the treatment plan and writing the treatment plan, so that they know, okay, well, we have these problems at home, and since you're coming into our home, maybe you can address them there, right? So that will be included on the treatment plan most likely. And everything is based on observation. So I'll observe and think, okay, well, according to my assessment and what I've observed, I should also have these goals, and then talk to the parent and say, hey, these are some goals I recommend. And then they'll sign off on it. And then every 3 months, I'll do another assessment. So I'll see the progress of the child according to the goal areas on the treatment plan. And then I'll write reports. And after every session, I write a SOAP note, so a subjective, objective assessment and planning. It's kind of a structured note that helps me just kind of quickly go through the things that happened and what needs to maybe be brought up next week. Yeah, so it's a lot of writing. Didn't anticipate like doing music therapy and thinking, oh, I have to do a lot of clinical writing, but so that's kind of the part I don't like about my job, because I find it very tedious. But otherwise, it's very important, because you have to see the progress, right? You need to be able to say, oh, music therapy is working. And if it's no longer working anymore, then you have to like be able to tell parents, okay, like maybe this isn't the mode that they need anymore of treatment.
What goals are music therapists trying to achieve with their clients?
Yeah, I can give 2 different examples of some goals. So a physical goal area would be fine motor movement and gross motor movement, right? This is your wide range of movement. And music therapy works really well with those areas, because instruments require a lot of fine motor skills and gross motor skills when you're dancing and moving around and playing instruments. But specifically playing the piano is separating each finger individually is a very difficult task to do for some children and some adults even. Or holding a mallet and the grasping that you need to do to keep your mallet in place, and then also hand-eye coordination. So we're thinking about which place we want to hit on the drum or on the xylophone, whatever we're doing. So that's kind of more of the neurologic music therapy approach, where it's a very observable and very, like you can say, oh, Sally was able to hit the drum 5 times in the same place, right? And that would be a measurable type of data that we could incorporate into our notes and into the treatment plan and things. And then another area of music therapy that's more holistic and more emotional is creativity and emotional expression. So that's songwriting, it's talking about trauma sometimes and processing through difficult times, including like grief, or I had a couple kids that were in foster care at one point, so they had some things that came up during music therapy that we were able to kind of process and get through and write music about, which was really a beautiful way to approach grief. I have a very holistic approach. I meet the child where they're at, and that could be very, very high energy or very angry, and I see that and I support that. So musically, if a child's angry, I'm not going to be playing slow, calming. I'm going to be matching their energy and then bringing them slowly into a place where they can start to receive more support. Yeah. So that would be an example. I don't force children to do anything they don't want to do, and sometimes music therapy ends up progressing into ending because they get bored and things like that. But I'm really looking at their goal areas and finding out what would be fun and engaging for them, but also would be a good exercise for them as well. So they're particularly very motivated to do music therapy because it's so fun and encouraging and supportive, and not something that's just another task that they have to develop. One of the songs that I wrote was for a child to remember all the steps to washing their hands. So they had to go through the song, and then it happened to be I think over 20 seconds, which is about the amount of time I think you need to wash your hands. So it was also encouraging them to be a little bit more thorough, and then like maybe in the future they'll get more bad habits. But yeah, he had to go through the song, and it helped him kind of remember that this is a process that he has to do. And yeah, so that was a really good one. Some of them are just about coming out of your shell and your self-esteem and confidence. So yeah, we'll write silly songs that are semi-inappropriate for some people, like the Everybody Poops song, but it was not about the content of the song. It was about him really coming out of his shell and being comfortable with the idea of songwriting, and then being able to dive into more like specific topics. But all my kids choose the topics that they want to write about. It's really important that I give them that autonomy. Other ones are for memory. So I've written songs for situations or for the goal specifically, and not for a child or with the child's preferences in mind, but for a goal area. So the school song that I wrote, everybody going to school and we're going to have some fun. What do we need to bring? They have to recall the different objects that are appropriate to bring to school and what they might need. And I've even adapted that song to be a searching song, like a scavenger hunt. He'll run around and find the different items that he actually needs to bring to school and then prepare them for the next day. So then they're by the door and they're ready to go, and it's kind of a ritual that we have at the end of our sessions where he always does that, and his parents will follow through with that as well and use that song with him to get him ready for school. And it becomes like not a daunting task anymore, it's like a exciting way to approach it.
To school, we're going to school, we're gonna have some fun, we're gonna have some fun. Joey brought markers, Sally brought a backpack, Tiana brought her guitar. What should we bring? A snack.
Seeing your clients like realize that they have new tools that they can use is really helpful for me too. If I'm experiencing something that's very heavy, like I'm learning about somebody's past or something, and I can relate to that too. Like there's transference and counter-transference in almost like every relationship, I would say, where you're kind of seeing something and you're relating to it. And that's not a bad thing. You just have to recognize it and be able to say, okay, like I'll deal with this after this session and I'll be present for this person right now. So there's a lot of, I would say, emotional exercise. At the end of the day, depending on how a session went, if I had to pull all of my tools out of my bag and really work really hard, I'm exhausted at the end of the day. And then sometimes I'm very uplifted. Like I've done a lot of running around with kids and I'm lifting them up quite like physically and then like emotionally. And so it's really cool. That I feel like energized by. Yeah, so that's where I get the love for music therapy, for sure. So a way that you can conduct your own music therapy at home is by creating a playlist, and you can make a playlist that will reduce your anxiety or a playlist that will get you up in the morning. And what you do is you take your fastest paced song that you really like and you start with that first if you're lowering your anxiety. This was what you would want to do. and you gradually reduce the tempo of the songs that you're adding to the playlist. So they have to be in an order where their tempo is decreasing. And that is called the ISO principle. So you're taking a fast-paced song and you're slowly lowering it, and your circadian rhythms in your body are gradually matching them, and they're in training to them, and they're lowering as well. So if you're doing a 20-minute playlist before bed and you're listening to your songs and that's helping you calm down, that should be able to help you reduce your anxiety, to help you sleep. And then you can do it the opposite direction to help you get up and get awake and get moving.
Music therapy has been an above and beyond model for people in long-term care, but it's been significantly impactful for people living with dementia.
Erin Boudouin was the executive director of a long-term care home that focuses on supporting people who live with dementia. The care home has had a music therapist on staff 20 hours a week for at least 7 years, supporting the 130 elders who live there.
We've been able to see whether it's one-to-one sessions with a therapist or group sessions or even large audiences, the impact that music can have on people living with a cognitive impairment and complex care needs, particularly for individuals who are nonverbal or in a non-communicative place in their dementia journey. We've had elders who have been seemingly unresponsive to visitors, family members, staff for some time. And at times we've had music come in and the therapist come in and you can see a little toe start to tap, or you get a little finger going on things. And this is our ability to recognize that that person is in there and provide that care with respect to personhood and the dignity of the individual that they are, which is a significant thing to achieve when you have somebody who's at that stage of their life, and you're trying to come from a place of support for them. Our music therapy staff were essential through COVID. So in about May of 2020, everybody was locked out of long-term care, including families. Our music therapist we kept on staff. They were very supportive because we had asked them to cancel all of their other contracts. They weren't able to work in any other site or any other place, including schools and things like that, which they did so that they could support the seniors here who were very isolated. They did an amazing job at creating connection when everybody was in these individual rooms. So at one point we had 123 out of 130 elders on isolation, and they couldn't leave their 200 square foot room, and they had dementia. So we couldn't really explain why to all of them. And we were able to have our therapists come to a center courtyard and bring all of the residents to the windows. And he was able to play his oboe, which sounded just spectacular in that area, and echoed off the walls. And it was, at least there was a form of entertainment that wasn't a television sitting in their room. And the music therapy was a huge part about creating an activity and a quality of life for the residents who lived here and reaching them in these difficult stages of isolation. There is no barrier to enjoying or hearing music. Even those who are deaf can have a hand on something that can create bass, and they can feel that thing. So there is no untouchable person, and music therapy has been exceptional at reaching each and every person.
She also explains the care home has a music program separate from the music therapy sessions that includes daily singing, radio listening, and visits from the iPod ladies.
And they'd come in with headphones on for elders, so it was really exclusive, if you will, experience for them. And it wasn't earbuds. We realized that earbuds didn't work very well for the seniors, and they'd be able to find music for those elders, and they'd just sit, and often it was somebody who might be in palliative care or in a non-communicative place, and you'd get a little smile. And for somebody who hasn't moved or responded in quite a long time, just a little smirk goes a really long way.
Therapists and caregivers are using music to support people, and musicians are writing and playing music to communicate difficult feelings and release emotional pain, sometimes to self-soothe from trauma and addiction.
Can't seem to get this car out of reverse. I'm Carl Longstaff, and I'm a musician in Nanaimo, British Columbia, Canada. And I use music to express myself and work through difficult things that I have a hard time putting into words and talking to people about. It's also a weird thing because I also feel like music is something that connects us to just like a spiritual world maybe that's beyond this place, and that sometimes music isn't written by you. You like sit down with your guitar and you're just trying to get those emotions out of you, and then all of a sudden you're playing this thing and you're like, what is this? Where did this come from? And then, you know, 6 months down the road, you go and you look in your phone recordings and you're like, what is this? This is amazing. And then you're like trying to like learn this song, and it brings you some kind of like self-relief from the dreary, mundane world that we all experience. Good 9-to-5ing it. Music brings 3 amazing, helpful things together for me when I play. You got lyrics that become like a mantra towards a subject. So, you know, something like, I believe in you, or like, I'm gonna love you forever. You take like a line like that and you repeat it and repeat it. But when you're singing, the biggest thing that I learned about singing was that it wasn't just something you did when I first started, was out of emotion. Like I would emote, and then it would like, my throat would get sore, and then I couldn't sing maybe for a week because I'd scream my guts out. I was like in a hardcore band. And then I got singing lessons, and it was right after I went through an intensive like 5 years of counseling to become sober. And the breath work part of it, I overcame a lot of like insecurities and things that I was hiding behind. And then I worked upon muscles in my body and breathing and being still and calm, and realizing that to scream a high note isn't about like tensing up. It's actually the exact opposite. It's about being really like having a firm foundation in your diaphragm, and using fine muscles, and building those muscles takes years. Like, it was crazy for me, like the amount of time I spent learning about singing when I'd sung since I was a little kid. So it's like, it brings a bunch of different things together, like the resonance soothes your body, and whatever mood you're in, you'll put those, if you're trying to calm yourself down. I always find that this chord, I really like this, the G chord a lot. And I'll be like, you know, if I want to calm it down, I'll play something like this, right? And it's just happy, and you know, you put something nice over top of it. She came down where we were, right? It's just, what is that vibe right away, right? It's got that peaceful kind of thing, but as soon as you go, you feel like you're running, right? Like there's all these different things that you obtain from your instrument and your voice that I don't think that people realize when they are singing a lot of the time. A lot of people I see aren't singing to like self-soothe. They're trying to yell at people, if that makes any sense. I don't know. And I kind of feel like I was like that for a long time. And then I started being able to see the benefit in my own self. I don't know, like it's been a long journey. Like I started playing music basically when I was born. My mom is a piano teacher, so I've always had music around me, and it's always kind of like guided who and what I was. And then I started changing from like, you know, listening to like these bands and like trying to emulate them to becoming my own person inside the music. And it changed. Instead of trying to be somebody or be something or sound like something, I just tried to start making my own sounds, and I started finding these other places that I'd never found with music before, and the amount of comfort that I find when it's really strange, and lots of people aren't into this, but this morning is a prime example. I've been having a really busy week, and I've been under a lot of stress. There's been way too much on my plate, and I woke up. And the song that me and my friend Lauren are recording, I put it on first thing when I got in my truck to drive to work this morning, and it was like I sung along and it calmed me down, and it was like just what I needed in the morning. And that's weird, but because it's my own music and like whatever, but I don't really listen to other people's music anymore. I'm too focused on trying to create and escape into what I'm creating and hone it. Like, and I think that's all vibration, and sound is a vibration, so that's healing. I keep pushing, no rhyme or reason. I keep pushing, no rhyme.